Hello, my audience of All Things Football from a Lady's Perspective. I'm Sonia Anderson, your host. Gents, ladies, thank you so much for tuning in. Today is May 1st, 2018. It's a new month. Happy May to everyone. I'm just going to come in here and give you a little bit of draft news, and then we're going to wrap this show on up. So, how did you guys feel about the draft? You know, who was your favorite draftee? And do you think your team has selected a great draft to get you into the playoffs and on up to that Super Bowl down in Atlanta, home of the Falcons, February 2019? So, just wanted to get a little feedback on that. You guys can comment and I will answer those questions. Please hit us up on our social media websites, All Things Football from a Lady's Perspective. You can Google that. You can Facebook that. You can follow me on there. I'm Sonia Anderson. That's SONJA. You can also go to our Carolina Pantherettes page if you're a Panthers fan and you're a ladies. Or if you're a guy and you just want to like our Facebook page, you can do that as well. But if you are a lady interested in joining our organization, you can go to www.thecarolinapantherettes.com, and all the links to these organizations will be there for you. So, just a little post-draft news. I was so excited. The biggest story that I was excited about, I will get to shortly. But first of all, let's talk about these top draftees. Now, Saquon Barkley did not disappoint. And the odds are already going down in Vegas that he is going to be the offensive rookie of the year for next season. Now, he's the number 2 pick for the New York Giants, and they picked him as running back, and he has put up big numbers in his college career. And so we're just looking for him to do big things as well for the NFL. Now, we're going to keep an eye out to see how he's performing. Now, you guys know who got those offensive awards last year. The Saints took him on home. Alvin Kamara. Big guy, big numbers. Now, the number 2 person that they're looking at is Baker Mayfield, who went to Cleveland. These are all top draftees in round 1, guys. Josh Allen, who went to Buffalo. Josh Rosen, who went to Arizona. Rashad Perry, who went to Seattle. Darius Goose, who went to Washington Redskins. Lamar Jackson, who went to Baltimore, who will be apparently playing backup for Joe Flacco, even though they've drafted RG3 for a 1-year trial. They're going to be trying to see what Lamar Jackson is about. So we'll be definitely interested to see how that pans out as well. Now, Sam Darnold went to the New York Jets. Ronald Jones went to Tampa Bay. Sony Mitchell, big name, New England Patriots. And DJ Moore went to my boys, Carolina Panthers. And then Calvin Ridley went to the Atlanta Falcons. So we will be keeping an eye on all these round 1 draftees to see if these expectations are just as big when these guys make it big in the NFL. Now, some big news that is not draft related. I will come to that in a moment. But let me tell you about my biggest story of this week. Shaquem Griffin reunited with his twin, Shaquille, for the Seattle Seahawks. So everyone knows the story. I'm sure you've been following on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, just ESPN, Bleacher Report, you name it, Fox Sports, CBS Sports. Shaquem Griffin was born with a little handicap, a little disorder there called amniotic band syndrome. But he has overcome all odds. He does not suffer from anything that would limit him. He's the first NFL player to be drafted in modern day history with a limitation physically. He lacks his left hand. His digits were cut off of his left hand when he was 4 years old. And he and his brother, who are twins, have been inseparable. Now, one thing about it, no one can not like Seattle, Pete Carroll, and the administration down there. These guys put family first. They reunited them. And I was overcome with grief, just tears, not grief in a sad way, but just grief like, wow, like it just really hit me. I've been following this story for quite a while, and I'm just so thankful that God blessed him to find a home, that these people realized his talent. He was the number 1 defensive player of the year in 2016, and he also had a very good 2017 year as well in his collegiate years. So the thing is, you know, he's going to be doing big things in Seattle. And the Seahawks actually play the Panthers. I think it's in November, so I'll be personally at that game because I've got to see this for myself. So congratulations to you, Shaquem Griffith. That's awesome that Shaquille, that they are both reunited and they are Seahawks. So Shaquille is on the offense and Shaquem is on the defense. So congratulations to both of you. And I look forward to seeing you do very, very well. As a matter of fact, some of the critics are saying that Shaquem may be the next Cam Chancellor. So, and you guys know he was a beast with Seattle. All right, let me get back to some regular news now that I've hit on that big news about the draft. Christopher Jason Witten, mostly known as Jason Witten, of the Dallas Cowboys, number 82, has announced after 15 years, he is seriously considering retiring from the NFL. He is wishing to pursue his career with ESPN Monday Night Football as an analyst. As an analyst. Now, one thing about it, Jason just got his contract renewed in 2017, so it was kind of shocking that 4-year contract he just got renewed with, he's already wanting out. Now, unlike Tony Romo, who was allowed to keep, I think it was $5 million of his contract when he was released to become an analyst, Jason Witten is going to have to repay some of that money because the Cowboys just are not in a position to allow him to keep those funds. So we'll be seeing if this is going to actually be his last year or if he's going to go ahead and call it quits before the year starts. I think the financial aspect will have something to do with his final decision. But Jason, whatever you decide, good luck. You definitely are a heck of a player. And this is quite another blow to the Cowboys. As you know, they've already released Dez Bryant and now Jason Witten. So I guess it's just going to be Dak and Ezekiel and maybe a couple other people for a while. But we'll stay tuned. Speaking of Dez Bryant, Dez was offered a 3-year contract with the Baltimore Ravens. And it was somewhere in the neighborhood of $21 million. But because he wants a contract like Michael Crabtree got, I think Michael went with the Raiders for 1 year. He turned him down. So he said, you know, he's turning him down. He doesn't want a 3-year contract. He only wants 1 year. And that is solely for him to, quote unquote, rehab his stock ahead of him advancing for a bigger contract. So, Dez, I don't know. Because from my experience, once people go undrafted or unsigned for a year, it becomes a little stagnant, a little less likely you're going to get picked up. I mean, I have some names I want to throw out there, but I don't want to do that. But there's some Falcons that are no longer in the NFL. And one is coaching high school right now. He just lost his job. Just that point blank period. I remember being at a Falcons game versus the Panthers, and I asked my husband, I'm like, you know, is this person even out there? And he's like, there he is. I'm like, they're not even calling his name. And the end of the season, that person was gone, and he was a heck of a player. So, Dez, I don't know what you're doing, but I'm sure you have your own interests. You're 29 years old, so you're still fairly young. So I don't know if he's going to get to 1 year or not. I know he was adamant about going to the NFC East because he did want to be able to play against the Cowboys because he said it was personal that he was released. So we'll just, as I say, keep our eyes and ears open for that as well. Now, speaking of other news, Tom Brady was asked today how he felt about the Pats' appreciation of him. And he responded, I plead the fifth. So, you know, he could be a little cryptic at times. I'm sure he knows they appreciate him. They love him because he's always said, even today, that Belichick is the greatest coach in history. So, Tom's just playing around with the media, you know. Speaking of playing around with the media, I'm not sure if Roethlisberger is playing around or not about him possibly being put out of a job with the quarterback drafting there in Pittsburgh. But he said he's not concerned about it. He said that this guy that they've drafted in there, I can't even remember the guy's name right now, but he's not worried. He said he's going to have to be a heck of a player to come in and take his spot. Now, I'm just going to tell y'all this. last year in the playoffs, Roethlisberger, you were not on your A game. Your defense saved you guys' hide. And then you ended up losing in the playoffs. So you were throwing interceptions, which is something you never do. And I just think you should be a little leery because these young guys are coming out. They're vibrant. They've got these high numbers in college. And unfortunately, in the NFL, being in your 20s and even your 30s is considered like 60s in the regular work field. I'm just saying. So we'll stay tuned to see what goes down there with Mike Tomlin, who they switch around. Now, let's get into a little bit of toughest NFL schedules. So the schedules are out, and I know everyone has their personal opinion about which team has the toughest schedule. I saw in the AJC, which is the Atlanta local newspaper, that they felt the Falcons had a very difficult schedule. But in fact, Bleacher Report did not even mention the Falcons as having one of the toughest schedules. In fact, the Green Bay Packers have the number one toughest schedule in the league, especially with them having just lost Jordy Nelson. So the easy schedule goes to the Texans. Fairly easy, especially because they're getting Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt back. Go J.J. from injuries. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Texans make the playoffs. And I'm actually going to say they're going to make it. Go ahead and look for them to be pretty high up there with the AFC. I'm a big J.J. Watt fan. I have players throughout the league that I love. I just think they're amazing on the field and off the field because they do a lot of community events. By the way, little plug, Cam Newton did his Make-A-Wish with the kids this week. And also Thomas Davis had his high school named after him. So shout out to my Panthers, TD58 and Cameron Jarrell Newton. So congrats to both of y'all, and thanks for what you do off the field as much as what you do on the field. Now, the AFC South as a whole, that's Jacksonville, Tennessee Titans, all of them, they are known to have a very easy schedule. However, they will be the only teams, with the exception of the Minnesota Vikings, that will play both the Eagles and the Patriots, which were Super Bowl 52 contenders. Now, other than that, they're basically playing each other. And the AFC South was one of those divisions a few years back that it was so bad that I think the team that made the playoffs was like a 6-7-1. It was horrible. And so they only made the playoffs because the division just was garbage. But it's any given Sunday, it's any given Thursday, it's any given Monday night. So we'll stay tuned for all of those as well. And I do update you guys when I tell y'all stay tuned and we're keeping our ears open. I do come back later and be like, oh yeah, I told y'all XYZ and this is what happened. Now, one of the tougher schedules is Detroit Lions with newly hired coach Matt Patricia. So the Lions are going to be hosting Packers, Vikings, Rams, Seahawks, Panthers, and Patriots. All of those teams are known to be huge contenders. So good luck, Matt Patricia, up there in Detroit. Now, the most stacked schedule, and by stacked, I mean teams that are playing only playoff teams. Like they're playing all the teams that went to the playoffs last year in 2017. Those stat schedules belong to Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Baltimore Ravens, and the New Orleans Saints. Now, each one of those teams will play games. They'll play 5 games versus teams who made the 2017 playoffs. So they're going to already go in there, up against the wall, except for the Saints who won the NFC South. They know how to handle people. That's a good squad. They pretty much kept the core together from the previous season. Kamara's still down there. Ingram's still down there. You got Drew Brees. Sean Payton's still holding the rim in. So just expected them to do big things again. And they are still very bitter that they lost that Vikings NFC divisional championship. So they're going to be looking to go back, with a vengeance. They want to, reclaim the title. But if my Panthers there, and we will be, you got your work cut out, especially with our new drafts. I'm biased. But anyway, Now, the Raiders, Oakland Raiders, have one of the 3 easier schedules. They got newly hired John Gruden, so it should be very easy for him to adjust to his new coaching position, with them having 3 easier schedules. Now, the 49ers with Jimmy Garoppolo they're gonna be one of the only teams that are playing 4 playoff teams. So they'll have an easier schedule as well. Now let me tell you guys a little bit about how the schedules are made, because this is something that was interesting to me when I was preparing for the show tonight. There are 32 teams, and the schedules are like a theory. They're like a formula that is very perfectly put together. So you have every team. There's going to be 4 games against the divisional winners from 2017, 4 games for your second place winners from 2017, 4 games against the third place for 2017, and 4 games against the fourth place for 2017. And that's your 16-game schedule. Now, the Browns, one little tidbit here, the Browns, who went 0-16 in 2017, have the 5th most difficult schedule in the league. So maybe that's why, I don't know, they got all these people. They were, picking up these vets and everything. So they should not have any problem. And I'm pretty sure they're not going 0-16 this year. They picked up a lot of vets, y'all. A lot of vets. So we're going to be looking for the Browns to be getting down. They're not going to be considered any of the little names y'all been calling the clowns. Not this year. Now, matchups that are within the schedule that everybody's always excited about, of course, the divisional rivalries, the Saints and Panthers, who battled it out, for the division. Any of these division championships, the Steelers and the Patriots, Rams, Raiders, everybody, those are going to be good matchups. But the Cowboys versus Panthers game in Charlotte on September 9th is going to be huge, because a lot of you do not realize, if you don't know your football history, the Panthers did not come until the 90s, the mid-90s, to Carolina. So a lot of people in Carolina were either Cowboys, Steelers, or Redskins fans back in that era. So it's going to be huge, because a lot of people that are in Carolina are still Cowboys fans. They didn't revert over or nothing. Now, some post-draft news, and then we're going to wrap this on up. The Cardinals really wanted Josh Allen, and they are very, quote, heartbroken that they didn't get him. They weren't able to get him. He got snatched up. So I don't know what Arizona's plight is going to be this year, but they really were banking on getting him. Now, the number 1 jersey of the new rookies that are in there, the new draftees, let me give y'all a guess. Can you guess who got the number 1 selling jersey? Okay, well, let me tell you. Saquon Barkley. His jersey is flying off the shelf. It cannot be kept in stock. He is the guy. Even if you're not a Giants fan, everybody's buying his jersey. He's an amazing person, and I look forward to seeing him playing. As a matter of fact, the Giants play Carolina, and I'll be at that game as well. Now, let me wrap up this with a little bit of news. Donald Penn from the Oakland Raiders was accused of domestic violence on Sunday with an incident involving his wife. Now, according to reports, him and his wife got into a verbal altercation. He slapped her across the buttocks and poured a drink on her head while he was holding her wrist. Someone called the police. Police came. Penn was gone once they arrived. Now, Penn and his wife are denying any rumors that he's being investigated for domestic violence. Now, let me let y'all just go ahead and know, where there's smoke, there's fire. And you all know the league has a 0 tolerance on any type of domestic violence. So slapping her on the buttocks, even though that's your wife, there's no exception for that. If this is an offensive act, if you are, doing anything, the league has a 0 policy on domestic violence. And so you just always need to know that Donald Penn, just get ready to be suspended for some games. We've already seen this in other teams. We've seen this with other players. And just know that the league looks at it as if where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's no recourse for that. So we'll keep our ears open for this. and with this Donald Penn story with the Raiders, and we'll just go from there. Now, there was a small break in my recording, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. This portion will go with the first part of the video. My apologies for that. Now, wrapping up the show, please feel free to subscribe, share, everything, and feel free to comment. You know, I love feedback. I love to be able to talk to people and, you know, see what teams you guys love and, you know, get an understanding, you know, or if I got something wrong, you know, hey, tell me, like, look, you don't have that right. And so, you know, I can get my facts together, but reach out to me. There's going to be some links on our page. Just, you know, you can follow me personally. I answer all of my stuff personally. And it was really great. I look forward to a productive OTA season. All of that is kicking off now. Faith moment. How many of you all always say, you know, I'm going to do this, this, and this when this comes? Like, you know, you set goals for yourself. Well, why wait on a certain date? Why wait on a certain date to lose weight? Or why wait on a certain date to make amends with someone that you've had an incident with? Or why wait on a certain day to pursue your education or career goals? Or to be a mom or to be a dad? All we have is today. And that's why it really is called the present. It's a gift because we don't know what tomorrow brings. So in everything, just always use what you have that particular day. That's my faith moment. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of All Things Football from a lady's perspective. Have a blessed night.